As Wade sprinted for the nearest tree, he tripped and fell, face down on the ground. He turned his head just in time to see the 6-ton elephant lower his head and gore his torso. He let out a yell, desperately trying to claw himself away. July 17, 2003. It was a morning like any other. Wade awoke before sunrise to check the Land Rover once more and stock it with flasks of tea and coffee and a tin of rusks. In a few minutes' time, he would be taking a group of tourists on a sunrise game drive through one of the most magnificent reserves on Earth, the Maasai Mara in Kenya. The Land Rover was open on all sides, with a canvas roof for protection against the blistering sun. Under torchlight, his clients climbed into the Land Rover and arranged themselves in the back seats, excited for what the day was to bring. They rocked from side to side and up and down as Wade maneuvered the vehicle along the dusty, rutted tracks. They made their way to a nearby watering hole, the headlights illuminating the water surface in front of them. Gradually, as darkness gave way to light and the sun's orange glow arose above the African bush, Wade and his 6 passengers were awarded with a magnificent sight. Amongst the haziness in the morning air, the watering hole came alive. Zebras and kudu stood at the water's edge drinking. Giraffe emerged from the surrounding undergrowth, and a herd of elephants ambled into the opening. Wade knew he had struck gold. This was his favorite watering hole and was always a hit with the tourists for the abundance of wildlife. But this morning was extra special because the elephants were there too. Wade knew the herd well. He had spent over 8 years guiding in the Mara and felt he had a special bond with this particular herd. He had watched the 2 youngest elephants grow up and had seen the matriarch through some difficult times. On this particular morning, as he watched them playing in the water, he noticed they suddenly appeared on edge. They had been spooked by something and began to leave. Wade looked around. Behind his vehicle was an enormous bull elephant, one he didn't recognize. He knew lone bulls tend to be more aggressive when not in their bachelor herd. This bull stood at nearly 12 feet tall, and Wade estimated it to weigh almost 6 tons. The bull let out a loud trumpet and flapped its ears. Wade knew it was time to move. He began driving the Land Rover away, but the elephant continued to shake its head and flap its ears. Unexpectedly, the elephant charged at Wade and the tourists. Able to run at 15 miles per hour, the elephant was upon them in seconds. Blocked by thick, thorny bush, Wade had nowhere to drive to. The elephant hit the side of the vehicle with such tremendous force that it momentarily teetered on 2 wheels before crashing back down. Wade could hear the people behind him screaming as the elephant continued with its attack. His full head came in at the side of the vehicle, knocking 2 of the tourists sideways. Wade was whacked across the back by its trunk. He tried desperately to turn the Land Rover around. He couldn't go backwards, and he couldn't go forwards. They were trapped. Wade looked up and saw the elephant coming at them again. This time, the vehicle overturned, and they were all sent flying from their seats. Wade heard the crushing sound of metal as the enraged elephant stood on the overturned vehicle. They all scrambled about in the dusty, dry dirt, dashing for cover in the bush. As Wade sprinted for the nearest tree, he tripped and fell, face down on the ground. He turned his head just in time to see the 6-ton elephant lower his head and gore his torso. He let out a yell, desperately trying to claw himself away. The elephant shook its head, and as it raised its front foot to squash its victim, Wade grabbed onto one of the tusks to pull himself up. He held on for dear life. If he was to let go, he would be thrown to the ground and trampled. He could smell the elephant's breath. He could see the thick, creased skin of the elephant's trunk, merely centimeters from his own blood-soaked face. He looked into the elephant's eye, hoping upon hope the elephant may see the fear and innocence in his own. But it didn't. Just then, he felt the elephant wrap its trunk around his waist and rip him from the tusk. The grip around him was immense. He felt as though his eyes were going to burst. He couldn't breathe. The elephant's trunk contains 40,000 muscles, delicate enough to pick up a single blade of grass, yet powerful enough to rip branches from trees. Something had to give. Then he heard a sound he will never forget, the sound of his ribs cracking. The elephant then threw Wade through the air. He landed heavily on the ground with a thud, unable to breathe and only inches from the water. He contemplated crawling into the water and remaining submerged until the elephant left, but that would have been impossible. He didn't have enough strength to move, nor the breath to hold, and there were at least a half a dozen crocodiles in the murky depths. He lifted his head for what he thought would be his last time. He watched as the elephant came at him again. Each pounding footstep emitted a cloud of dust. But suddenly, only feet away from Wade and his certain death, the elephant veered away. Wade lost consciousness moments later. He hadn't heard the gunshots from a fellow ranger ring out during the last seconds of the attack, nor did he hear the arrival of the helicopter for his medevac to the nearest hospital. With 2 broken ribs, deep lacerations centimeters from his femoral artery, and a ruptured spleen, Wade was incredibly lucky to be alive. Although he lives to tell the tale, Wade hasn't set foot in the Maasai Mara again. It seems the elephant was a lone bull, an outsider and a rogue. And although these animals are usually gentle and mild giants, elephant attacks are becoming increasingly frequent as more and more humans intrude on their land. Be elephant safe. Number 1. Always view elephants from a safe distance, at least 100 meters. Number 2. Remain quiet and make no sudden movements. Number 3. Never come between a mother and her calf. Number 4. Never cut in front of the path of an elephant. Anticipate their direction of travel. Number 5. Look out for signs of aggression. Swinging front foot, coiling and uncoiling trunk, head shaking, tail swishing, ears flapping, bush bashing, and retreat immediately.